Okay, so we're going to take a look now into how to make our handle brackets. So there's four of them that are required, and it says here that they're 30 by 55, and that's when they're flat before they've been pressed. So taking a look at this, you can see that they end up becoming a saddle. Now, we made a similar saddle in year 9 to hold the weather vane in place, and we used a special jig. This time we're going to use a different technique, just using the vise. The problem with creating a saddle is that the bar, if I was to cut a piece exactly 55mm long and I press the bar into there to create the saddle, it can move left or right. It's very hard to hold it centralized and to get the saddle to be formed in the center of the piece. So I'm actually going to cut my piece longer than I need and cut it down later to suit, so that I get even amounts on either side. So I'll do it now, and hopefully it all makes sense by the end of this video. So I've opened up my vise so that I can get a bit of 6mm bar, which is the same one. I can get it in and out fairly easy. There's a bit of play either side, and I'm using the soft jaws as well just to help it all slip and form. So if we take a look at this, it says 55, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure. I'll go a little bit further for this one, and if there's a bit of waste, there's a bit of waste. I'll use a pen so that you can see it, but you can just scratch a line. So I've got 35 there. 35mm. I'm going to square that line across. You would be doing that with a scribe. I'm going to use a black marker so it shows up better in the video. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. I really need a third hand here. I need someone to hit that with a hammer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that on top. I'm now pushing down on the bar with my left hand. That's holding it in place. This needs to be square to the vice jaw. So if it's on an angle, no good. It needs to be square. So I'm going to hold that on top, and then I'm just going to give it a little love tap with a hammer. And I'm trying to get that to form nice and evenly. And I can push that down, and that should be sitting nice and flat in my vise now. If I pop that out, it's going to stay wrapped on my 6mm, so I'm not holding it down the bottom. It's just staying wrapped on that 6mm bar, and I've created a nice little saddle shape. What I'm going to do now is, it's going to work out perfect if I measure from the edge of the saddle 20mm, draw a line and cut that off. Now I could measure there, scribe on the 20 and put a square across there, or if I had some stock, and by stock I just mean some material that's 20mm, like this piece of 20mm angle here, I'm just going to place that into my saddle there, and I'll scribe against there, and then that will give me a line to cut on. So I'll do that for you now. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, you can see that. So I'm going to use just my 20mm stock and push it into the hump that I've created, and I'll scribe that, and then I'll get two parallel lines. So they should be parallel, and it's going to look fairly neat. Then I'm going to get my snips. So I've got my whiz snips here, and I'm going to cut along that line. Along that line. So I'll probably do you guys a favour and rip up a heap of this Galvabond in a 30mm strip, and then you can cut it to length, and that's starting to look pretty good there. What the plan then calls for is a 3x3 45mm chamfer. So that's pretty easy to achieve. I'm going to get a scratch gauge. So I've got my 3mm scratch gauge. And if I scratch that along there like that, is that in shot? No, it's not. Okay. Ooh. So I'm going to go 3mm along there and 3mm along there. I might just go backwards like that. I'm still dragging, but I'm pulling it off the edge of the sheet. Now, hopefully this comes up in the video if I put it on the right angle. I think you might be able to see that, hopefully. I've got my 3mm by 3mm, so now I just need to cut from that line to that line. I'm not even going to use a 45-degree scratch gauge to mark the line. I'm just going to go dot to dot, and I'm going to look over. This is pretty hard to do. I'm doing it through an iPad. I look over the top so they line up. So if I look down the blade now, those two marks are lining up, and I can just go snip like that. Cool. And then I'd scratch the other sides and I'd put that 45 the whole way around, and then I would repeat that, and I need 4 of those. On your plan, it shows some holes. It doesn't tell you what size. We're not even going to put them in because the actual product gets spot welded on using a spot welder. So that's how you make your, on the plan they're calling them handle brackets. In industry, I would be referring to that as a saddle. And that's about it, guys.